There have been phone calls made to both the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3.
What?
To move up to the 2 or the 3 spot, it would be for Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or the running back, Ashton Jeanty.
What?
Fact or fiction, the Broncos won't trade up from number 20 to get a receiver.
Huh?
Fiction. The Broncos will trade up, just my thoughts, not a source report, for a receiver. If McMillan goes early, Matthew Golden is the one.
What?
All eyes are on the New York Giants. They own the number 3 overall pick. They have done as much work on Shedeur Sanders as any team has done.
What? What do we make of all that? It's officially draft week in the NFL. It's like Christmas for football fans. But instead of a brutal reminder that dad can't hold down a job and that mom loves her pain pills more than her kids, we're getting hope. Football hope. As we wait to see if every problem on our team will be solved via the 2025 NFL Draft, rumors are flying at an alarming rate. The hard thing to determine this week is which rumors have merit or shreds of truth and which are just smoke screens. I've been doing this long enough to know that 98% of them are bullshit, because even the truths are just half-truths. Now, I might be paying extra close attention to this because my Denver Broncos suddenly entered the draft trade chat.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they do trade up to get Jeanty.
And Denver would be willing to go from 20 down to 33.
They are one of very few teams apparently willing to move up. The Jags appear ready to move back, as do a few other teams. Adam Schefter posted a lengthy article on ESPN Plus posing tons of draft day scenarios, while also listing the names of 19 players who could be traded during the draft. 19! That's almost as old as a Belichick girlfriend.
We sacrificed a lot for each other.
Things are getting dumber than normal, and that's because there are 31 question marks after pick 1. So let's see if I, the Mr. Irrelevant of football detective work, Brandon Perna, can make sense of this nonsense. And guys, we are 100 subscribers away from 725,000. We're really going to hit that goal of 725 by the draft, and I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, goddammit. I love you. There are 2 big ways to support this channel. One, you can buy my fairly priced coffee at benchwarmershop.com this week for the draft, April 24th through the 26th with code DRAFT15. You can get 15% off the This Is Our Year blend. It's a dark roast. It's pretty freaking good. 15% off with code DRAFT15 at Benchwarmer Shop. Check out the site during the draft. The other way, signing up with my code, TGS or That's Good at Underdog. We're 249 signups away from 6,000. I get that massive $60,000 bonus if we get 249 more signups. So if you like playing daily fantasy or in pick'em games, do it at the only place I do, Underdog. These are my picks. I'm getting worse at picking basketball every week, so do the opposite of this. Play responsibly. There are 19 players who could be traded, according to Adam Schefter. Will Levis, Treylon Burks, Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal, Jalen Hyatt, anyone the Giants drafted, I guess, Sam Howell, Tyree Wilson, Greg Newsome, Travis Etienne, Odafe Owe, George Pickens, Rashad White, Keyshawn Boutte,
wide open!
Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, Kirk Cousins, Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews, and Trey fucking Hendrickson. Just naming them all almost killed me. Tight ends Dallas Goedert and Mark Andrews are interesting. They're both very good tight ends on very good teams who draft at the end of the first round. Now, Daniel Jeremiah said this on Mina Kimes' show.
Well, I'll tell you afterwards, but with one of the better GMs in the league, and we were going through guys, and it was like you start getting to the end of the round, you start looking at names, and it's like, I know exactly what I'm buying with Mason Taylor. Like the rest of these guys, it's some hit and miss, and he's like, I know exactly who and what he is. So,
and many believe he was talking about Howie Roseman. We have heard a ton about Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland as the top 2 tight ends, but Mason Taylor could be the target to replace Goddard or Andrews or even Travis Kelce if the Chiefs don't love a tackle at the end of the first. If the Giants do draft Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau becomes very expendable. Thibodeau had a really nice year in 2023. 11.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 50 combined tackles. It looked like he made a leap after a disappointing rookie season. He only played in 12 games last year and netted 5.5 sacks. Jalen Ramsey appears to be the most definitely gone player of that group. I think the Falcons and the Rams are both likely teams to make a trade for him. Both have a need and both have connections to Ramsey. We know Jalen thinks very highly of the Rams organization. He was part of that Super Bowl winning team. But the guy who coached him was Raheem Morris, who now is the head coach of the Falcons.
We look forward to moving forward.
Shefty listed 19 players. Maybe 3 or 4 of them actually get dealt, and I don't know if that actually happens during the draft. And the guys I think who are on the move are Will Levis, probably to the Steelers when they fail to get a quarterback in this draft, Sam Howell, one of the tight ends, and Jalen Ramsey. The only thing we know for sure about this draft is that Cam Ward is going number 1 overall to the Titans. After pick number 1, we have 0 guarantees. Adam Schefter said one GM told him Cam Ward would be the 7th rated QB in the 2024 draft class. I think he would have been in the mix after Drake May with Bo Nix, Penix, and McCarthy, but the point remains the evals on the 2025 QBs are all over the place. Equally important is there are currently fewer teams that really need a QB, and 2 of those silly teams are the Giants and Browns, who are both in 2 very different forms of franchise purgatory. The biggest mysteries right now that I think are going to affect the entire first round of the draft are Shedeur Sanders, Jaxson Dart, Jalen Milroe, the Saints, and who the Steelers actually like at quarterback. The question about these players for this draft is how closely do teams have them in their player grades. A month ago, it seemed crazy for anyone to have Jaxson Dart ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Now it feels like Sanders could slide all the way to 21 where the Steelers pick. Would they take Sanders, or is their new love affair with Jalen Milroe that real?
Time has gone on. I'm more intrigued with the Steelers and Jalen Milroe than I was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
If you're an NFL franchise, you don't need to believe Jaxson Dart is currently better than Shedeur Sanders to draft him ahead of Sanders. You just need to think they are close and that Dart has a better upside due to his physical tools. And the latest on that note is Brian Daboll prefers Dart to Sanders, but Giant scouts prefer Sanders. Daboll is also on the hot seat, so all of this is kind of fucked up because who really cares what Brian Daboll thinks if he doesn't make it past this year? And I'm not saying that's fair to Daboll, that's just the reality. I like him. Now, Adam Schefter dropped this atom bomb of an article. Probably I need to rethink that. Not an atom bomb, this atom dynamite.
Traeger bomb.
Boom goes the Shefty report. Look. He noted that the Saints are more likely to draft Jaxson Dart than Shedeur Sanders. Last week, I made a case for Shedeur Sanders going to New Orleans because I think Kellen Moore would be a good head coach for him. Sanders, while lacking the arm strength, which may be the most overrated QB attribute, by the way, is the most accurate passer in this class. None of us know what Shedeur Sanders would look like behind a respectable offensive line. Sanders is similar to Derek Carr as a prospect, and maybe the Saints have simply had enough of Carr-type prospects. Jaxson Dart would be a good QB in the opposite mold of Derek Carr. Dart is a more exciting mound of clay for Kellen Moore to mold. That he's molding him, he's not copping a field. That's if Schefter is correct. The Saints can address defense or even offensive line at pick 9 and then move up somewhere at the back end of the first round, top of the second, to get Jaxson Dart if they are indeed hot and heavy on him. They've made inquiries about moving up in the second round, and they have the ammo to do it with multiple picks in the second or third. So, in the last month, specifically the last few days, we have seen Jaxson Dart, Jalen Milroe, even Tyler Shuck's draft stock rise, right? Who the fuck is Shuck? Who the fuck is Shuck? Not a single quarterback needy team appears to have any interest in the guy who actually played like the second best quarterback in this draft, is Shedeur Sanders. These teams are all lying to us. It benefits none of them to reveal any info or telegraph which quarterbacks they actually covet, especially in this class. Why Why would the Giants let on that Daboll really likes Dart, or that the Saints are hot and heavy on Dart? Probably because one of those motherfuckers wants Shedeur Sanders. If Sanders falls to 20, the Giants or Saints will attempt to trade with Denver to draft him ahead of the Steelers. So why has Jalen Milroe been invited to attend day one of the draft? Adam Schefter's article is really confusing because it poses dozens of scenarios and each one changes everything previously stated. If the Giants and Browns both do not draft a quarterback with picks 2 and 3, a world of possibilities opens up in this draft. If Sanders is gone, the question becomes, do the Steelers prefer Jalen Milroe to Jaxson Dart? We know the Steelers will have 2 more quarterbacks on their roster by training camp.
We go to camp with 4 quarterbacks. Right now we have 2 on the roster, and all options are on the table and how we acquire those last 2. I assure you we'll have 4 when we get to look.
I think Pittsburgh knows Rodgers will eventually join them, and they will take Shedeur, Milroe, or Dart at 21. And they don't really care who it is because that quarterback will get a year with them before having to start. None of them are perfect, but Jalen Milroe feels like Mike Tomlin's answer to Lamar Jackson. And this week, Dan Orlovsky was hyping up Milroe quite a bit on ESPN.
Rare physical talent when it comes to Jalen Milroe. 19 touchdown runs of 10 or more yards that led college football. 27 touchdown passes, 27 of 25 or more yards.
Then Tom Pelissero hyped him up as well.
Jalen Milroe is the greatest runner of the football they've ever evaluated at the quarterback position. Not Lamar Jackson.
The greatest runner of the football who throws 25-plus yard TDs at a higher clip than anyone else in this class, firing bombs to George Pickens and DK Metcalf, sounds sexy as hell. Sexy like Tim Tebow running in the rain. Schefter listed a bunch of teams who are willing to trade back. The problem is, in this draft, there's a lack of teams trying to move up. The Steelers, the Jags, Panthers, 49ers, Falcons, Seahawks, Buccaneers, and Vikings, who only have 4 picks in this draft, all want to move back. At this point, the only 2 teams I've read who are willing to trade up are my Broncos and the fucking Chiefs if they covet a lineman, or the Giants trying to leapfrog the Browns atop the second or to get back into the first. If the Browns and Giants pass on a QB at picks 2 and 3, New York becomes a likely candidate to get back into the first. The Steelers' worst nightmare would be Ashton Jeanty falling to pick 9, the Broncos trading with the Saints to get Jeanty, and the Saints drafting the quarterback the Steelers want at 20. I'm not saying that's likely to happen. I'm just saying it would be a nightmare for the Steelers. The Jaguars, though, they've become interesting. Apparently, they're willing to trade out of pick number 5. The Jags have a new head coach in Liam Cohen.
Duval.
Yes, we know Liam. And a new GM. We really don't know what their draft philosophy is. Schefter noted the Jaguars are a wild card to watch in this draft, and that's a quote from a league executive. If any team trades into number 5 overall, it's probably to select running back Ashton Jeanty, because the consensus from the outside is the Raiders are the most likely team to seriously consider Jeanty at pick 6. So you have to get ahead of them to land Jeanty in theory, unless you believe today's rumor that the Jags at 5 are actually drafting Jeanty. Next to quarterbacks, Jeanty's the most important player in this draft in terms of being a guy teams could be trading up to land. Schefter mentioned Travis Etienne could be a trade piece, and that makes a lot of sense if the Jags take Jeanty. I think Etienne would have value for a team right now. Maybe the Broncos called the Jags to see what it would take to get Etienne. We also know the Bears are very high on Jeanty, praying to the football gods he falls to them at 10. I believe there's 0 chance of that happening, Chicago, so stop praying. Big Broncos trade rumors were pushed by Schefter and Rappaport this week, and I think the Bears are far more likely to move up for a back that high than Denver. If the Bears want Jeanty, going from 10 to 5, much more realistic than the Broncos going from 20 to 5. Plus, the Jags could still land a guy they like, Mason Graham, heavily mocked to them at pick 10. The problem there is the Bears only have 7 draft picks in this draft. The Vikings want to trade back simply because they need more draft picks, and sitting at spot 24 puts them in no man's land. The one interesting note for Minnesota is Schefter said they could be considering Kirk Cousins. I think the Vikings would actually consider paying down part of Kirk Cousins' contract if the Falcons included a draft pick when they sent him over. The problem there, Atlanta only has 5 picks, so the two teams who could be the most desperate to add draft capital in this draft are the Vikings and Falcons, and them trading with each other doesn't really make any fucking sense, does it? I feel like Charlie Day in that overused It's Always Sunny meme. The Falcons, though, with pick 15, have been a rumored team willing to deal their pick. They need pass rushing help, we know that, but should have plenty of options if they do move back. This is where I actually think the Denver Broncos come into play for a trade up. All Broncos fans assumed if Denver traded up, it would be for a running back. Either an insane trade for Ashton Jeanty or to leapfrog a team for Omari and Hampton. The Cowboys feel like the only real threat to draft Omari and Hampton before Denver, maybe the Bears at 10, and honestly a receiver for Dallas seems like the play at pick 12. So if they really want Omari and Hampton, the Broncos, the 49ers, one of the trade back teams Schefter listed are at 11. If Denver trades with Atlanta at 15, though, I think it's for tight end Colston Loveland or a receiver or a defensive lineman. I don't believe the Cardinals are a threat for a tight end. The Seahawks might be at 18. None of those teams should be drafting a running back based on their needs. All 4 of those teams, though, could go defensive line or edge. So if Denver moves up to 15, it's to get ahead of a run on defensive linemen. To move up in the draft, you have to believe there's a real threat your guy is gone. So even though the Broncos are making calls and are allegedly the only team doing that, I think it's just to gauge what the price tag is at certain spots. Ian Rappaport said
the Broncos will trade up, just my thoughts, not a source report, for a receiver. If McMillan goes early, Matthew Golden is the one. That makes sense.
Which makes me believe it is certainly not. I hope Denver has called the Jags, the Giants, and Browns. If they're the one team actively trying to move up like Adam Schefter reported, and if teams are calling the Browns and Giants like Schrager reported, what if Denver wants to go to 2 or 3 for, dear God, Travis Hunter?
There have been phone calls made to both the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3.
Like, I wish I could go to the Broncos just to stay in Colorado because so much people just welcome us with open arms.
That would be a massive surprise. Schrager also hinted it could be Jeanty at 2 or 3.
To the 2 or the 3 spot, it would be for Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or the running back, Ashton Jeanty.
That's far-fetched, though, in my opinion. You don't move out of 2 or 3 to 20. James Palmer tweeted that a team in the top 10 is head over heels for Hunter. That makes sense. I think that's probably the Patriots or Panthers. So the Browns moving from 2 to 4 with the Patriots, or to 8 with the Panthers, or the Giants flipping spots with the Pats. If Cleveland goes Abdul Carter, makes a lot more sense than some outside team trying to get all the way up to 2 or 3. If the Giants or Browns move out of those spots, they are not moving past 10. Cleveland and New York still need to pick high, because the last time I checked, they suck. So what do we make of the Browns or Giants listening to phone calls about trade-ups into 2 or 3? 1, I doubt either of those teams is seriously considering trading out of the top 10, and I think the Giants are the team more willing to make a move. And let's just say the 2 teams who are possibly head over heels for Travis Hunter are the Patriots and the Panthers. The Patriots and Giants flip-flopping spots so the Pats can get Travis Hunter, that's fine, and the Giants could draft Shedeur Sanders at 4, which is a little bit more palatable to Giants fans, knowing the Giants would get a little bit extra draft capital by moving back a spot. The Panthers at 8 making a trade with the Giants also makes sense. Extra draft capital for the Giants. They stay ahead of the Saints, the next team who could possibly take a quarterback, and the Giants could take Shedeur Sanders at pick 8. The Giants moving back has to mean They are very interested in taking Shedeur Sanders. They just don't love the idea of doing it at pick 3, and they are uncertain that they can get back into a spot to take him before the Steelers do. That's the only way there's any shred of truth to that situation. But as a Broncos fan, if they made some big dick move to get into the top 10 and take Travis Hunter or Ashton Jeanty, I will lose my mind. I don't even know if that's the right move, but a big sexy play like that would get me excited. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports Draft Trade Rumors before the NFL Draft, where the rumors are the most rumoriest of rumors. Even Fleetwood Mac's like, shut the fuck up about the rumors and just give us the goddamn draft. Thank you, Mick Fleetwood and Stevie Nicks.